guys, welcome to Cider Week, Hudson Valley, virtual Cider Week, Hudson Valley. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Rachel Fryer, co-producer of Cider Week. I'm very excited to have Hayley Shine, cider maker from Little Apple Cidery, joining us for live tasting today. So I just want to say cheers to you guys and for being here and for a great Cider Week. We're on day 8. We have one more day to go. So welcome, Hayley.
Thanks, Rachel.
Why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your role at Little Apple Cidery, and then jump into telling us a little bit about Little Apple Cidery.
Sure thing. Well, first, thank you so much, Rachel, for all your work on virtual Hudson Valley Cider Week.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's been so much great content and great to see, orchard tours and tastings with folks all over the region. So thanks a lot.
Of course.
So I'm Hayley Shine. I'm a cider maker here at Little Apple. We're in Hillsdale, New York. So we are about 2.5 hours north of New York City and about the same distance from Boston, but just to the west. And we are really small producers. Little Apple Farm is a NOFA New York certified organic orchard, and we make fresh cider in the season and hard cider. And I'm standing here in our new orchard bar, which we just opened, so we're really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So let's see about me. I came to the cider industry from the beer world. I am a longtime professional brewer, mostly in brew pubs. All over the country, really, most recently from Chicago. I worked on a startup project in Chicago that was a brew pub and a cidery as well. So that was kind of my introduction into cider. But it was a modern cidery in an urban setting. So we're talking tanker of juice rolls up any time of year you like, and you ferment it and you blend it and off you go. So when I relocated here to the Hudson Valley last fall, it's just been an incredible experience to connect the art of cider making with the orchard and the trees and the apples, and get a chance to make ciders that really honor the fruit and learn about the different varieties. So it's been just a kind of incredible journey for me, and what a great region to live as a cider maker. So that's been very exciting.
Very cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the orchards and about the farm?
Sure. Yeah. So Ron and Alan, who may make appearance through the window, they took over this orchard in 1980. Oh, I hear someone coming.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hi.
Welcome.
They're making a guest appearance. So they took over in 1980, and it was all overgrown. So some of the original trees remain, but it's about 5 acres, the orchard, and they really revitalized it, brought it back to life. So some of the trees now they're 40 years old that they planted even right from the beginning. But even so, Ron continues to plant year after year, new trees, different cider varieties. So this orchard, like I said, is about 5 acres, but in the last few years, he's planted another orchard in a neighboring town, Ankrum. So we're really geared up for expansion, planted a bunch more cider varieties over there. So yeah, just growing apples and making cider. And
very cool. And can you tell us a little bit about the process of being organic? Like, how long has that been? Has it been since day one? And how did I know the process of becoming certified is kind of like sometimes, a long process.
It is involved, that's for sure. It's no small endeavor. So it's really a passion of Ron's, and a labor of love, or at least a labor, right? So I know a little bit about it, but so as an organic grower, we spray still, for pests and just different things. But the the different things you can spray with have to be like certified organic materials. So, and it's challenging. It'd be really difficult to make, beautiful fruit, as you're an organic grower. So cider is kind of the perfect thing because you can, it doesn't have to look beautiful to make great cider. So,
Right.
Yeah. So deer is really our biggest problem here, to be quite honest. So
Not the pest, but the deer, the big pest.
And this year the frost. So we definitely had some frost damage this year. But Ron is still hopeful. He's an optimistic guy. So.
Hey, that's important. That's important in business, especially as a grower, Very cool, very cool. And you guys just opened a orchard bar, your tasting room.
We did. Last weekend was our first weekend. So we're going to be open Saturday and Sunday all through the summer from 1 to 5. And right now we're just outdoors. So even in the rain, there's covered seating. But we're serving cider by the glass and flights and some orchard snacks. And we have beer from the neighboring brewery where I also work, Rojan Brewing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good neighborhood collaboration. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're a brewer, how's your experience? You can talk a little bit about like the experience of like making cider and brewing. Like, are there like similarities? It's like, what do you like prefer? Maybe I'm not going to ask that question, but like, can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Sure. Well, right now I'm really excited about cider because it's, a new thing that I'm learning. In getting involved in the cider world in the last few years and meeting cider makers in the community, I've sort of noticed, cider makers that I think sort of come from a brewing background and path or like a winemaking background and path, both in philosophy, but also in process and just some of the ways that they express themselves as cider makers. And sometimes it lines up with modern cider versus, more traditional styles. I will say that when I first started, of course, I brought a wealth of brewing experience to the table. So I was definitely a brewer making cider, especially in the modern cidery environment. But, currently here where it's really about the apple and more about the fruit, I'm learning a lot more that is just more like winemaking, just different skills. And when it comes to blending and balance, between the acidity and sugar and sometimes tannins, it's just a little more nuanced and a little bit different. So while I have a lot of experience in brewing, the winemaker's toolkit is sort of what I'm focused on developing for myself professionally.
That's awesome. That's very cool. You're going to be like a whole master brewer, cider winemaker at some point. That's really cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to taste through these ciders here. Let's jump into the first cider. I think cider. Start with Taconic Gold.
I'm going to go start from the driest.
Okay.
Orchard Reserve. Okay, so we're really excited about this. It's our new release. It is all the way dry, and it features heirloom apples from the orchard. It's really like the orchard's finest blend is kind of how I like to think of it. It's got, very dry, certainly, but it's amazing how it has such an expression of fruit that really, so you don't really realize that it's all the way dry in the way that it is, because the apple is so present. So the apples in this, there's golden russet, and that's probably one of the main, players in this one. But there's Baldwin and John Gold, just some of a blend of apples. So this orchard has a lot of those like traditional New England apples. We call it maybe heirloom apples that grow really well in the area and were just found here historically and are great for making cider, particularly, the russets, I'll say, because that's what this cider really celebrates. But so much flavor comes through, so much apple through, after fermentation and whatnot. So a lot of bright acidity in it. but still balanced with the fruit and lets the apple shine.
Cool. Keeps the fruit. That's amazing. Is this your newest release?
It is, yeah. And we just started in these 500 milliliter bottles.
Cool.
I think are gorgeous, especially you can see the cider.
Yeah.
And
that's my preferred size. The 500.
It's a pint.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been really well received, and here at the Orchard Bar and just by our fans in general.
Very, very cool. Awesome. And then what are we going to taste next? The
Taconic Gold.
Taconic Gold. Okay.
Yep.
Great name.
Taconic Gold. So this is the Cidery's first cider. So it's kind of our classic blend. We have it on draft here at the bar and serve it at the brewery as well. This one is semi-dry, so it has a little bit of sugar given back to it. So a little bit of balance there. But it also has brighter acidity, I would say. And that one's really Northern Spy is kind of one of the key player in that particular one, which we have a lot of Northern Spy trees here. So, but yeah, that's our classic blend. Sometimes it's, the Orchard Reserve sometimes almost tastes, you wouldn't know that it's drier because of the fruit forwardness of it, whereas the Taconic Gold, hopefully the background noise isn't too distracting here, but
all good.
We have some people tasting. Anyway, the acidity of the Taconic Gold really balanced with the sugar. It almost seems like drier for some reason. But
that tricky play, that's that whole tricky play of sugar and tannins and acid.
Yeah. The expression of acid really affects the perception of the sweetness. So yeah, and when tannins and everything just boy, all the work that cider makers have been doing about how to discuss the sweetness scale and what it means, because some people, what is sweet to one person, and then when you add acid or tannin into the mix, I mean, it really changes the whole beverage. So
yeah, New York Cider has been doing a lot of really important work on that dryness scale, which is really fascinating to me. I'm not a cider maker; I'm a cider drinker. But to me, just following, the progress in the dryness scale and the use of it, I think is really important to the cider industry.
Yeah, and the way different cider companies are using it to talk about their products, and the way consumers are using it to learn about cider. Right. I definitely think there's a lot of confusion out there and super sweet stuff and just really all over the map. So
right. And to, really to educate the consumer is oh, I don't like sweet drinks, but if you see, some kind of scale to indicate that it's not, that's helpful for the consumer at least.
Yeah.
Really cool. That's awesome. And then last but not least, we have the Nobletown.
Yeah, the Nobletown. So this one is 750.
Cool.
So this is a barrel-aged cider. It's bourbon barrel aged. So the barrels come from Hill Rock Distillery. It's a local distillery here.
I'm a big fan of Hill Rock.
Oh, you know Hill Rock. Okay, great. Yeah, they're wonderful. We've been over there and go pick up barrels all the time. So the way it expresses itself in the cider, I mean, the bourbon really just jumps out of the glass. It's the spirituous aroma of bourbon. So we also do a rye version of the Nobletown. But I find apples and bourbon are just a really fantastic combination. And
absolutely.
So we age the cider in the barrels for maybe about 6 months. And then we do back sweeten it a little bit. I find the alcohol, it picks up a little bit of alcohol in the barrel too. So the balance of the cider and the alcohol is nice with a little bit of sugar back to it. So, but yeah, that's definitely a favorite among spirit lovers. And I guess Hillsdale used to be known as Nobletown, back in like the 1700s. So that's where that sort of name and brand comes from. But that's one of the original ciders that Ron was making pretty early on as well. So
very, very cool. Very cool. And so the ciders are available on your website, correct?
Yeah, we do have an online store where we do like curbside pickup and local delivery 7 days. And then we're also open here in the orchard, so on the weekends. So
very, very cool.
Yeah.
Your expansion, with you mentioned earlier your expansion with like planting more trees and expanding. Is that like you have like, does Ron have like plans of like making more different ciders, expanding on ciders, or just like making?
Well, Ron has so many ideas, like it's really hard for me to keep up with them. But well, so here, like I mentioned, it is a lot of heirloom apples. We have like a lot of Northern Spy, Baldwin, the russets, and he has planted some like traditional true cider apples here, but the new orchard is really kind of focused on that. So I think that's the sort of direction that, he wanted to take things in terms of the apples and the ciders. But we upgraded this last fall. We upgraded all the equipment to have a new mill and press and fermenters. So really we have a lot of capacity to confusion over here. We have a lot of capacity to make cider. So we could make more cider than we have fruit. So that is something that we might explore at some point. And, who knows what that'll look like when the time comes. But for now, we've been all our own fruit and all organic apples. So, and I think that's kind of the heart of the brand and the focus really of the project. So we're keeping it small, even though we're expanding for us.
Keeping it small and true to the orchards. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really neat to connect. The cider have a sense of place, as a connection to where you are and to the land, and it's really neat to have a chance to make that connection.
Yeah, it makes the cider ever so more satisfying to drink too.
Absolutely. Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on, or just?
Well, I think that's a pretty good summary.
When are you guys open? When's the Orchard Bar open? What days?
Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 5.
1 to 5. Okay.
Yeah, and we're on the Capital City Beverage Trail. Mm-hmm. So that's the passport program.
Yep.
So I think that's just starting up now. So that tends to bring people up our way. And if you like beer, then the Little Apple and the Rojam Brewery are a good sort of, 1-2 punch for a little road trip if you're out in the area.
That's awesome. Do you guys offer any orchard tours, or?
Tours are kind of discouraged right now in the guidelines, but we intend to do orchard and cidery tours on the weekends at a set time, both Saturday and Sunday, as part of just what we offer at the Orchard Bar when we kind of get to that point. So I'd say follow us on Instagram and, find us on the website and stay tuned for updates as we kind of open up in phases here.
Yep. Phases, one by one.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hayley, so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure it's been a long week of tastings and interviews and everything. So I really appreciate your work on that. They've been really fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to watching some more.
Yeah. And guys, we had screens last weekend, an orchard tour with Little Apple Cidery with both Hayley and Ron. So that is on our YouTube channel. So you definitely look for it and watch it, because it's really fun. Get a little glimpse of those trees growing. And yeah, we're on day 8 today. We have one more day to go. We have an exciting menu tonight. We have a dinner with Chef Alex Reich, and we have a cheese and pommeau with Orchard Hill Cidery and Isigny Cheese Company. They're a Normandy cheese company coming up at 5 o'clock, and then a tasting with Naked Flock at 6. Tune in tomorrow. We have Gabe Cook and Ryan Burke, the ciderologist, and Ryan Burke from Angry Orchard. They're going to be talking tenants. That should be a fun one to tune into tomorrow. And tomorrow night, we have Chef Susie Cups. She is doing a farm box dinner with Glenwood Produce. That's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. And once again, Hayley, thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you for the tasting. And cheers. Happy Cider Week, guys.
Thank you so much. Wow, all those events sound amazing. Cheese and pommeau, especially.
Yep. Best friends. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
This is the